Hello, Danica. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat.
We'll start by defining what's liberty leave.
For sure. So, Liberty Leave is this kind of fun marketing term I invented to define what I did in 2019, which was taking some time or taking the liberty to rest and recover from some burnout, take a sabbatical from work to essentially travel, solo travel, and just enjoy life. My tagline was taking the liberty to find what brings me joy and step away from what doesn't.
What inspired that?
I think a few things inspired it. So, one, in 2019, when I took my first Liberty Leave, I was tired. I was burnt out. I was doing way too much to climb the corporate ladder and build a name for myself in the city and try to find like side hustles and opportunities and multiple streams of income, all the things that they tell you to do online. So, burnout was definitely one of them. And I think the second thing is I had just always wanted the opportunity to travel the world for an extended period of time. And in Canada and I think the US as well, a lot of early 20s folks get the opportunity to do that shortly following their studies, like university or college. They take like a gap year or something like that. That wasn't accessible to me. I definitely could not afford it at the time. So my gap year, or I guess my gap 6 months, was a little bit delayed. I just needed to work a bit, save as much money as I could to make it happen. And then as soon as I could make it happen, I did.
So you've always been working towards that? Was it something that was in the back of your mind this whole period of time? You were saving for this?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to have the opportunity to travel long term. I think the opportunity to do it based on how much money I saved happened sooner than I expected. I guess I'm a good saver, proud of myself there. But yeah, it's something that I knew that I always needed to do just to fulfill that goal or that like bucket list item.
Did you always love to talk about finances?
Yeah, I always have. I shied away from it though for a few reasons. One, talking about money makes people uncomfortable, so I avoided it as much as possible with folks who I know would probably be uncomfortable about it. But I've always been curious about money. It's always a topic that I've loved talking about. I've loved learning more about, especially because I grew up in a family that didn't have a ton of it, and I really wanted to like change that narrative in the future so I would have the means to do the things that I want to achieve.
That's remarkable. Were you able to change any beliefs around?
I'm still actively working on that. I feel like it's going to be a lifelong process. I have a scarcity mindset, which is sometimes I need to remind myself that there is a lot of money out there. There's a lot of opportunities for everyone. What's meant for me will always be for me. I always need to actively remind myself that. Sometimes when I forget, I end up taking every single opportunity, maybe some opportunities that don't necessarily pay me what they should, because I have this scarcity mindset that it's okay, I'm going to miss out on it and I'm not going to get the money to travel. But yeah, I'd say I'm always actively kind of learning all of the things for sure.
I see a lot of talk about money and personal finances. As a marketer yourself, why do you think there is this sudden in personal finances?
Yeah, I think that there's a need for it now. Definitely over the pandemic, when we were I know we're still in the pandemic, over lockdowns, people didn't have a lot to do and they were saving a lot more than they usually did. So I think that kind of spiked interest in learning about money. And that's how a lot of like investing platforms and personal finance creators really got their come up, because people were like, okay, I have all this money now and I have all this time. Let me learn how to manage it properly. So I think that's probably the number one reason. But also, I think that Gen Z for sure, and maybe later born millennials are catching on that we don't want to work until, a lot of us don't want to work until we're 65 full time to retire. Like, it's a lot. We want to enjoy life. We are unlearning kind of those traditional 9 to 5 norms that we've been taught to work for our whole life. And we kind of want to change our perspectives and change our paths. So I think that's another reason why people are trying to find like multiple streams of income and maybe looking up like the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early, just so we can change our futures.
Yeah, and this has been a reality for the digital nomad community at large. How can you make money while doing the thing that you love and while moving? Did you in your Liberty Leave, did you cross paths with the digital nomads?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of took on like the role of a journalist I found during my Liberty leave because as I would meet people, I was just asking so many questions. I was very nosy. I just wanted to know like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you sustaining this lifestyle? Partly because like I wanted to share it with my community, but also because I wanted to learn that information for myself. If I can, I don't want to be in an office from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 in like Toronto, especially in the winter where it gets super cold. Like, I love the flexibility that the digital nomad lifestyle offers. So, yeah, I asked a ton of questions and learned a lot of really interesting insights for sure.
What's the most surprising thing that you learned about the community or the lifestyle?
Yeah, I guess a few different things. One, just like how I remember I would always ask the digital nomads that I meet, like, where are you from or where are you heading to next? And it was like a taboo question. They're like, I don't know, like, I'm just living in the present. This is where I am right now. Where you ask them where they're from, a lot of them are, I'm just like a child of the universe. Like, it was very interesting to just learn that mindset and the way they think. But it also forced me to live in the present because, like, maybe everyone doesn't need to plan their next 6 months as a perfectionist like I would. Some people are really just going with the flow, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I remember you were taking the role of a journalist too. I remember you being quite curious about everything and joining a lot of communities. What did that bring to your experience?
Yeah, it just exposed me to like new perspectives. I just find digital nomads think so differently than like the folks who stay and live for the whole life in the country that they were born. It was just really interesting to understand digital nomad perspectives, how they're minimalist, how they maximize their money and kind of get as much as they can for as little as they can. Things like that were like really interesting to me.
Did you meet any expat communities?
That was one of my favorite parts about traveling in Asia. So, in both Mai on Sundays, the brothers and sisters of Chiang Mai, so the Black community, they would meet. And then in Vietnam and Da Nang as well, they would have like Sunday brunches. And that was really great as well to just obviously see people who look like me, especially in a country where there's not a lot of people who look like me. I will say though, I noticed a lot of that the folks from those Black communities were from the US. So I also still had a lot to learn from them because I find like African American culture is different than Black Canadian culture. So I also learned a ton from them as well, even though we both shared the same race.
That was one of the best things that happened to me in Chiang Mai, joining those dinners and just really learn about the communities. And it's true, you don't encounter a lot of people of color while traveling, especially as a digital nomad in places for digital nomads. It's very rare. So it was great to find a space like that where you can meet diverse cultures and you can meet Black folks in Chiang Mai. What is a community for you?
Community for me is just finding folks that like I can be myself around, that we trade life lessons and learnings and advice and just be each other's support system.
I remember that your travel was cut short. What was it like?
It was really scary. And honestly, sometimes I think that I might still be traumatized from it because I've been back for 2 years now. I still haven't written my summary post yet of like my experience. And the more I think of it, it's active avoidance because I think that was like a really traumatizing time. I was just getting into the swing of learning how to live out of a suitcase, being on the other side of the planet by myself, and having that kind of cut short abruptly because the world felt like it was going on fire. It was really scary. And then, of course, having friends and family back home who are exposed to North American media, which tend to like, obviously, I know the situation was serious, but really scared my people to a point that they're like, you need to come home now or else you're going to die. And getting those messages every single day, it was really intense and really scary. Yeah, I don't know that I'll ever get over it, but I do feel like we all have collective trauma from the pandemic as a whole.
100%. There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot that we don't want to unpack because we finally have the time to just go on with our lives. I feel like we're just rushing into, okay, let's just pick it up where we left it. Are there any destinations you'd want to go back to?
Oh my gosh. Chiang Mai is still my favorite place in the world. I'm still in all of the community groups. I still know what's happening, who lost their cat. Like, I'm very still reading all of the forums and things like that. I think Chiang Mai would be difficult for me to go back to right now just because the time zones are difficult just for like my full time. But absolutely, I would go back to Chiang Mai like in a minute. And Thailand in general, I just really love that country.
I remember you doing a lot of activities outdoors and new experiences and overcoming a bit of fear around that. What are the highlights? What are the activities that you did that you never thought you would actually do?
Yeah, just on the activities in general, I definitely did way too much. It was supposed to be a relaxing trip. Every single day, I was trying to meet up with someone, go to this group meet. I was doing way too much for someone who was supposed to be on a sabbatical.
Yeah.
I would say, honestly, just being in Thailand in general was like overcoming fears for me because I am extremely afraid of all nature. Everything that crawls, slithers, flies, everything scares me. So I think literally even just that was really scary for me. But also, I'm an introvert. People seem to think that I'm an extrovert, I think based on all of the things that I do, but I'm not. So really putting myself out there and going to all those groups as a Black woman by myself in Asia, that in itself was really like stepping out of my comfort zone and just like learning how to be the overseas Danica.
It looked like you were having a blast, honestly. That's what it looked like, and very inspiring to just go, and that fear for myself too. Do you feel like I saw that you went to Italy and Mexico? Is that still part of your life? Obviously, travel is very much part of your content, but are you planning to do more of these getaway vacations?
Yeah, actually, I'm currently in the process of planning Liberty Leave 2.0. So, first Liberty Leave was in Asia for 5 months, 6 countries, which was great. But I recently realized now that lockdowns have cooled down and traveling is okay again, why am I still in Toronto when I hate being cold in the wintertime? And sure, I can do a short trip, but I could also just move. I'm actually right now in the process, very early research stages of selling my home. I've been here for 8 years. I've earned a ton of equity on it. I feel like I'm good. I can let it go now. It served its purpose. Selling my home and considering a move to Europe on the youth mobility visa / the working holiday visa. I've narrowed down the top 3 choices of countries I wanted to choose were Spain, Germany, and Portugal. But I think I'm leaning towards Portugal the most because I know there's like a huge Black community there. And as I mentioned, community is super important to me. So again, super early stages, who knows what's going to happen. But like, I've been in contact with the real estate agents. I've been in touch with the embassy. I really want to make 2.0 happen.
And I'm so excited and so happy to hear about this. Honestly, thank you for sharing that. Oh my God, I am so excited and can't wait to see you in Europe, all over Europe, doing all the activities. And I hopefully will join you. Maybe we'll cross paths there. Wow, Europe, that's great. And I see Portugal really becoming a hub for digital nomads as well. Do you consider yourself a digital nomad?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I'm digital nomad adjacent. I don't know that I can fully call myself a digital nomad just because I don't know. I only had a 5 month opportunity. I feel like I know a lot about digital nomads. Like I've done the journalism, I've done the research, but I don't think I've had the opportunity to like really live it yet and actually like earn an income since when I was on my Liberty Leave, I was not earning income. So I think I'm adjacent and getting to the point where I will be soon. One other thing that I did learn from my experience was that I thought digital nomads, it's country hopping every month or every couple of weeks, and that's the lifestyle. I learned very quickly that gets old real quick and exhausting real quick. So I don't ever want to do that again. Like, I think for me, like I would spend minimum 3 months in a country because every 3 weeks, a month, running from visa, tourism visa here, it was too much. Never again.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing the slowest kind of nomad. I can't see myself doing less than 3 months, honestly. I've been doing at least 3 months at a time, and in Thailand. So we're not even speaking about international travel. I'm not built for that. And there is burnout for travel. As much as we love traveling, it can be tiring. And I think you know already about that.
For
Do you
sure.
think
I
we'll
found Oh, I was gonna say I
go
found
ahead?
decision fatigue, which is not something I knew before doing my Liberty leave. Decision fatigue can take over really quickly. Like just making a decision on, okay, what am I gonna eat today? What country am I gonna go to next? What currency? What does my dollar mean in this currency versus this currency? It gets very exhausting very quickly, and I find that just taking it as easy as you can is really key.
Yeah, especially that you want to plan things. So if you're a planner on top of that, it's a lot to juggle. Also, do you think have you overcome the last minute packing?
No. I love that you remember that. No, I have not. I literally still pack day of. That is my life.
That's me too. I've been asking myself recently, coming to Chiang Mai, and I think people by now would think that I would learn, but it's just not happening. I'm not doing it on purpose, it's just a thing. And I think I would just get used to airports. I still don't get used to airports. I still don't like airports, actually. It's anxiety inducing, but
I
I
feel the
do
same
love
way.
flying.
Yeah, I get it. I completely understand.
Yeah, I think I have accepted that it's just the way it is, honestly, now.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll keep doing what you do with all the content that you're creating? Travel, money, and career?
Yeah, I think so. Those are things that I'm like super passionate about. Maybe I would switch career to lifestyle more recently because my career is into my life and yeah, but no, travel and money are definitely the things that I'm passionate about. It's the things that I feel like I make good content that's relatable and really easily digestible for folks and inspires them to maybe travel, learn how to better manage their money. I think it's a good fit for me for sure.
Your content is digestible, really. It's packed with information and value, but it's really quick and easy to grasp. And I feel like because it seems that simple, there is a lot of work behind. So tell me about how do you make time for the work while you're how do you balance enjoying your travels while you have this urge to create?
Yeah, that's a struggle, honestly. I don't think I balance it very well. Now I've told myself, okay, you can commit to posting once a week. Don't try to do too much and overwhelm yourself, but if you can do one post a week, that's good, just in general. And then with traveling, excuse me, I'm very big on like taking a few videos and photos throughout the day, but I don't post them as I go. I'm very much like, okay, let me take a photo, put my phone away, live in the moment, and edit when I get back home. That's like the one way that I've tried to navigate that. But in general, I won't lie, like I really do struggle with balancing content creation with my full-time job with just my life and my community as well. It is a constant battle.
Yeah, I feel you. It's really tough. I can imagine just from working for other people. I just doing the work for my clients or doing the work for myself or when I had a full-time job and trying to juggle that with the side gig. It's a lot that goes into it and it's a lot of mental power. Some of it is not, yes, while you're traveling there is movement and you have to take pictures and it's physical. But what drains me personally is the parts where you have to design the thing, think about it, conceptualize it, and then work on it later. And do you feel like it changed your way of working in any ways? Your professional life, what you do, is it different from the content creator?
I work in marketing, so I think being a product marketer and a content creator is adjacent in the sense that it's very creative. You have to find like a hook when you're building content, just like you need to find like punchy headlines when you're doing marketing. So a lot of it is very similar for sure. And I went to school for radio and television arts slash media production. So it all like fits nicely and wrapped in a bow.
Oh, that's perfect then. That's perfect then. How do people react to your work as a content creator?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, like my Instagram community, they're like incredible, like always super supportive. always like very appreciative, always asking for more and for me to go into more detail. I have to kind of put my boundaries out there though, and like, guys, I can't do everything. Like I'm a human. I've started doing more like spend transparency videos. So like how much I spent on my trip to Italy or how much I spent on the vacation prep and things like that. And I've started going on TikTok. The comments there get a little bit more spicy because people are like, you overspent on this and you got ripped off and wow, you're wasting money. Like some of that, I'm just like, why am I doing these videos? Like I'm just opening the world up to all this criticism, but it gets the views, it gets the engagement. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just continue.
Wow, that's completely different from Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is pretty rough and raw. Why did you choose to go on TikTok, by the way?
Instagram, as much as I want to love it, engagement is not great. I started on Instagram pretty late in life as well. I started in 2019. I went for between 2014 and 2019. I went through a bad breakup where I decided to just delete my existence from the face of the internet. So I didn't rejoin Instagram until 2019. And I feel like by that time, engagement was already going down. It was really hard to build a following. Lucky if you get like 100 followers a month. And yeah, I figured, you know what, TikTok might be a great new avenue to explore. But also TikTok has much better engagement, I find. Just like the discovery feature and just like getting on the feeds of like random people on the other side of the planet is much better than Instagram for just like growing your audience.
You talked about boundaries. What are the most important boundaries for you now as a professional, as an employee towards your employer, and as a content creator towards people who want to partner with you?
Yeah, I guess I can start with like my employer, like my full-time job. I work 8 hours a day. I don't work weekends. I'm not going to stress myself out and do too much. And I encourage my team to do that as well. I would never expect someone to reply to me on weekends, do like crazy decks over, never that. So I'm very like good with working in my specific hours, also using my full vacation, full benefits, and just like really reaping the perks of having a full-time job and working with a company like that. And in terms of in terms of like content creation and partnering with brands, definitely do not work for free, like at all. Like I find that super insulting. Yeah. So yeah, I have like minimum amounts of money that I will even get on a call for, essentially. I definitely understand my worth and my value now, and I'm not going to do anything for a free box of lotion or something like that.
Do you get something like that? Did you get some offers like?
Oh my gosh, all the time. I remember one person recently asked me to do like multiple reels for a charcuterie board. So literally crackers and cheese and meat. They wanted me to make like multiple videos. I'm like, are you
Oh
crazy?
my God, the audacity. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Do you think it's because they can't quantify the work that goes into it, or they just do it because they think it's possible?
Yeah, so I actually work in the creator space for my full-time job, and I realized because the industry is so oversaturated and there's so many creators just trying to work with brands, get away with like gifted collaborations just because people are willing to take it. People get excited about free stuff, especially if they're just like casual creators not taking it very seriously. And I think brands are starting to get used to that. But I'm not a casual creator. There's like a ton of work that goes into my content. And like I shared earlier, I also have the educational background, years of work experience. I'm not working for crackers and cheese. Absolutely not.
Oh my God, that's great. That's good advice for content creators. And I feel like there's an intersection between nomads and content creators. A lot of content creators are working on the go. What would be your advice to specifically women of color who are trying to approach a leave or a digital nomad lifestyle?
I would say follow people who inspire you and look like you. For me, I would have never thought that something like this was possible had I not seen multiple content creators on the internet who were doing the thing. So follow people who look like you, follow people who are living out the dreams you want to live so, you know, you can relate to them and just make it happen. Don't wait. Live life with urgency. We don't know what's going to happen. I think the pandemic has been like a really good example of that. And also just like build community is super important. It's so easy to find communities on Facebook of countries that you want to go to. Like I said, for me, Brothers and Sisters of Chiang Mai or Brothers and Sisters of Bangkok, those were really big to me. And then just like nomad girls groups, girls love travel, things like that. And honestly, if I can just say like one last thing, I would say one of my top three best things that happened to me on my Liberty leave was honestly when you invited me over for Christmas dinner at like your house. Honestly, thank you so
Oh,
much because this was my first experience being a digital nomad, being away from home. My family is Christian, so not doing anything for Christmas, it would have sucked. And you didn't really know me that well. We met on Twitter like a couple of weeks ago, but inviting me over for that, like with your friends. And I remember there was the meats that was being served I didn't eat. So like you went next door to like a chicken breast from someone. It was the sweetest thing. And things like that, like really my digital nomad experience and just make me believe that it is the right thing for me. And really just also underlines the fact that community is everything. So thank you.
absolutely. You're most welcome. I loved having you. I was as happy to have you around and chat with you. And that's the beauty of having neighbors from Southern America. You can just knock on their door and say, "I need food," and you'll find food for sure. It reminds me of home. Thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Danica S. Nelson, or on TikTok, I am Rich Auntie Loading.
Yes. GeoMaxing to become a rich auntie.
I love it.
I can't wait for that. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation and for answering all my questions and for sharing your wisdom. And I'll be following you, and hopefully I'll be seeing you and invite you to more Christmas dinners, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yes, I hope that we will have more Christmas dinners in the future.
Or any kind of dinners. You know me. I love hosting dinners. I love cooking for people. I still should cook you something Moroccan, and you still need to show me something Jamaican.
Yes, okay, we'll make it happen.
Please. Bye bye. Thank you.